Welcome, everybody. Nice to have you all here. I'm very grateful. And to the Peanut Gallery, we hope you're going to be the most troublesome at the back there that there possibly can be. They're all there. Tessa Oliver's in the back, so there's going to be trouble in the back there. It's wonderful to see you. Many of you I regard as a family. We have, during the day, at some point in time, Guy and Guy Preston. We have Penny Brown here. We have a scary contingent from Hout Bay, which I'm sure are going to give our compliance people a really hard time, and go team, well, good on you. And then we have also the City of Cape Town. Anyone who's involved in invasive species is here. We have Altus de Wet, who is the top arborist in City of Cape Town. So any questions on trees, he'll be horrified to hear he's been identified, but he is here. We would like to welcome our colleagues who normally are quite behind the scenes, top people like Dr. Nzeru, who's here as a permitting expert. He is certainly here. And for those of you like Llewellyn Erasmus in the front row, who applied 3 times to come to this forum. So I'm very pleased to see after 3 times of putting his name in, he's actually in the front row and he's here. So we're very, very happy to have all of you. I'm just going to be giving a background, and we are on Facebook Live, so bear with us. We have at least 30 people who basically wrote to me in the last 24 hours and said either they couldn't come from Drakenstein Municipality because the petrol was too much, or the rain was too hard, and Cape Townians are not too good at dealing with the rain. But they are all watching us on Facebook Live, so welcome Drakenstein Municipality, and welcome all the long municipalities from far out. This is not a Zoom hybrid meeting. We are just live streaming to people who actually can't be here. In terms of the next 20 minutes, we're quickly going to run through where we all came from and what we are doing. Mornay and myself were on the horticultural panel put together by Dr. Guy Preston and his team from Working for Water, which is now National Resource Management Programs. All those days ago, when they set up, they said we're going to have invasive species legislation, but we've got to have the public on our side. And so there was a forestry partnership, there was a horticultural partnership, and there was a pet trade partnership. The forestry partnership got a little prickly. The pet trade partnership got a little hostile. But the horticultural industry partnership we regard as a big success. And so from our perspective, we do believe that certainly the arborists and the tree people can all work here together. Paul Barker, a top arborist from Ardeen and in Claremont, is also here today. So we are very grateful for all our partners across the green industries. We do need to remember that in this particular country, the poverty relief program was run according to the Working for Water took the RD. It's the only RDP project which is still operating in this country, and there's a lot of money involved. Up to 25,000 people are employed every single year, and we need to be grateful that when Roosevelt put bridges and he put roads in the New Deal in the 30s, in South Africa, the money has gone into the environment. And however you complain about the guy sitting under the tree at 1 o'clock who's not pulling out a prosopis in 40-degree temperatures, we still have to appreciate that at 5 o'clock in the morning he is pulling out stuff, and that's very grateful indeed. I certainly came along when things got very hectic around about 2000, 2001. The scientists said we've got to take all the jacarandas out of Joburg and Pretoria, and needless to say the public sort of said, excuse me, that's not going to happen. And we had to, that was one of our first battles as we moved everybody along about what was invasives and what was. You'll be pleased to hear the jacarandas and the are still in Pretoria and Johannesburg. They have not been removed, but they do have a mite, and they certainly are dying, and certainly we're not going to need to kill them off. They're going to die of their own volition. But there were some very sensible decisions taken at that particular time, and we're grateful for all the legends who are not in the administration now, but they certainly, we owe them a great debt. What are the frontiers? Going from the back history to what's going on in the front. The front problems we've got at the moment are in actual fact that we're waiting for the legislation to catch up. We have at the moment white dragon fruit, which is a category 2 species. It's on the legislation. It is an invasive species. And then we have the pink dragon fruit, and it happens to be a different species. It is not in the legislation. We desperately need that legislation to be updated, because at the moment it's very hard for the permitting team. And I was training with the green scorpions last week. It's very difficult when you go into a nursery nursery and you see these little sticks of dragon fruit coming out of nursery bags. You don't know if they're the pink ones, you don't know if they're the white ones, but all of these are very, very invasive, and we have to actually work in South Africa. We have decisions. Decisions were made that we don't want 3 million house crows swarming around the city of Cape Town. Decisions have been made that we don't want rose-ring parakeets. When you go to the Kruger National Park, if you see more rose-ring parakeets than indigenous birds flying around the rhinos, we've decided we don't want that. And this is what we don't want either. We don't want invasive dragon fruit around. And we do need to thank our partners in the media. I got a call from a very dear friend of mine, Tanya Visser, to say, Kay, you were rambling on about dragon fruit the other day. We're planning on putting it on the front page of our magazine in December. I'm just sending this to you. Is it okay? And amongst you, and particularly the Cape Townians, we have some rather wild personalities. Philip Ivey is one of them. And he's come a long way through this entire invasive world. He is now with the Center for Biological Control. And he said to me, Kay, we cannot have these articles in the magazines. So thank you to Tanya, who pulled this article from her magazines in December. But no thanks to Go Platteland, who thought it was an excellent idea to promote the pink dragon fruit. So there we go. We win some, we lose some, but we're all there and the team is trying. We also work with a lot of people in the universities. We have Patricia Duncan, who is from Kaput, and she's actually working on the Patterson's curse, how good it is, how bad it is, what are we going to do with it. It is expanding. There's not money to do with anything with it, and certainly the city of Cape Town have regarded it as we can't do anything with it. It's just everywhere. We've lost the battle on that one. But nevertheless, we do need students that put this together. We put 3 stories together on Patricia's work and asked everybody to identify where Patterson's curse was in November last year. We sent it to the press release to 9 radio stations, and we sent it to 8 newspapers. Not one single person actually in any of these organizations printed the story. And I think that's relative to what is the media at the moment. The media has had a major collapse over the last 5 to 10 years. We have to do our own media. Volkswagen decided in 1994 that they would run their own media and not take adverts out in anywhere else. And we have to do the same. The newspapers are there for telling people what Cyril is saying, for explaining what's going on in Ukraine, and possibly when there's rain coming. But actually, well, thank you very much for that that support. But actually, we've got to, when it comes to invasive species, we've got to run our own operation. You've got to do social media. You've got to tweet. You've got to take our material and put it into your conservancies. We can't use the mainline media. They are departed. So what are we doing? We are preparing. This year we're on a Department of Fisheries, Forestries and the Environment, and we're putting a great deal of material together. We're working on it. It will be available for conservancies. It will be downloadable in the next couple of months from invasives.org.za, which is the community website which for this particular sector was put together. And as it is, you can download all the Facebook Live videos from Stellenbosch and George, because whilst a lot of the morning material is generic, the afternoon material is not generic. And we can actually provide you with a lot of material. These rose-ring parakeets have been spotted in Cape Town. They are here. The major problem is Johannesburg and Durban and the access from Joburg to Durban. But they certainly are here, and there are a great number of people who say we don't want more rose-ring parakeets in the Kruger National Park than any other indigenous bird. The point of this is to social media. We put some social media up on the rose-ring parakeet. The templates that you see in the top right-hand corner, that's the material that goes out on social media, specifically 500 by 500 pixels to fit onto Facebook. And obviously, 66,000 people actually responded to that particular parakeet Facebook post. Now, in my days, I have a long history of being with magazines. In my day, to get 34,000 people to look at you in the magazines was looking good. Social media is very powerful. Use it for your conservancies, use it for your suburbs, use it for your personal agenda. We're also looking at the mallards, and my colleagues here, Marco Meyer from the City of Cape Town, Mfundu Tafini, Chandre Roda, we've gone a long road, and we are singed and burnt by very hysterical animal rights activists who absolutely have a complete cadenza when we arrive at dams and Marina de Gama, and we say we're going to remove invasive mallards. So we do have to understand that not everybody's crazy about what we're doing, but we are working on a project, and we're asking a lot of academics as to how we can try and explain to the public that we have to remove invasive animals. And the plants have their own problems, but certainly the animals don't. And bear in mind, thanks to those people at the City of Cape Town who struggle on dealing with communities where an entire housing operation has invited us in, but there are two ladies in the entire housing operation that don't like what we're doing, and they stand on the side of the dam and they just scream. It's very hard for poor old Marco, and he is a bit of a hero. We have moved this year into marine species. Invasive marine species is a new one for us. We are very grateful today to have the top marine invasive species expert here. Sia Misa is here today, so she can answer any of your queries on invasive marines. They've been doing a lot of work on the yacht basins. We plan on making a partnership with the marine people of Saldanha Bay. The aquaculture industry has always been very suspicious of our invasive movement on account of thinking that we're going to stop them growing, exotic mussels and exotic, whatever they're growing out there. But the point is that we are going to try and turn them into early warning communities, whereby they will actually look out for marine invasives that are actually in the Saldanha Bay area. And we're working with Tammy Robertson at the University of Stellenbosch, and we're hoping that will move ahead. For those of you who are plant-based invasive species experts and amateurs, very interesting to see the marine. These are species that are most peculiar to the average eye, and all very new and all very different. But the point is that we are moving into animals, we're moving into marines, we've got the plants vaguely under control. Now that's gone to a management issue, and obviously from our perspective, we're very grateful to our colleagues in the marine invasives who are getting a lot of sunshine from us and a lot of attention because we're very interested in what they're doing. We also, Debbie Sharp is been working on pesticides and invasive aquatic weeds for over 20 years. She's actually at a UN pesticides panel. She's elevated to the UN panels that work on what is dangerous for us to use as pesticides and what is not dangerous. And her colleagues are here. They're going to be talking a bit later on all of that. But we are facing huge stakeholder issues at Rhodoplat Dam. Together with the Center for Invasion Biology, we are trying to solve a major problem between stakeholders and integrated management. So stakeholders that believe you must take herbicide at 100% concentration and just blast the entire dam as best you can, which means that all the biocontrol agents like megamelis disappear, and the whole new generation of people who believe in integrated management, and they believe that you should be doing sublethal sprays at 70%, not 100%, and in actual fact clearing water hyacinth without killing all the biocontrol. And dare I say, at Rhodoplat Dam, to the northeast of Pretoria at the moment, it is war. We had meetings yesterday as to whether we should pull out or not, and my dear colleague and boss, Neba Norba, said, we just have to keep going. We have to, the government their job is to serve, and even though it is toxic and there's some of the most unbelievable personalities out there, we must get back in and we must try harder. And that's what we will be doing. We will try harder to sort out the Rhodoplat problem. We also we have a far better relationship with the horticultural industry. Morne Volhammer himself is a past president of the South African Nursery Association, and we are working to put an invasive species operation into the garden centres. They aimed at the youth, what's hiding in your garden, what's hiding in your pond, and we are using the new era of mentored sort of the mascots that have been created in the video gaming industry. There are lots of those available now, and we'll take some mascots and we'll use them. This is a Canadian campaign here. We're going to lose the wolf, you'll be pleased to hear, but we're using the same kind of children sort of youngster, come and join us, environment is the way ahead. And these are the two mascots that we're using. The campaign will be online. It will be available to be downloaded, and all our materials that we're going to be created. We will have every town will say this is what you must look out for. These are the 10 top invasives, and we'll go from there. These are the mascots. This is the latest version 6. We still got the nursery industry who are saying they love the girl. The girl's great. We have people who are saying the boy looks shifty. Okay. So we have to get the boy right. We're not too sure how to get the boy right, but we're working on the boy, so bear with us. By May, the boy will look less shifty. Okay. In terms of the nursery industry, we will continue our work with the conflict species. The nursery industry have indicated that they still are there are about 9 sterile cultivars that they are trying to save and keep the show on the road. We continue to negotiate with them, and certainly Morea exotica is one of the ones that they're still trying to keep. So don't for 1 minute ever think that this invasive species is, done and dusted. There's a book and this is the Bible and it's cut and dry. Every day of our lives, we are working in very, very grey zones. One of the big grey zones is a whole bunch of entrepreneurs who have decided to put the empress tree, Paulownia, which is a Category 1 plant. They've decided to do a whole bunch of plantations up in KwaZulu-Natal. They are maintaining that those particular plantations were imported into the country legally in 2005, the material for the trees. These are not trees that we want in our country, however good the timber is, and our team of specialists from in permits and enforcement are grappling with the issue in terms of the law of how they deal with it when Department of Agriculture allows these things in 20 years ago, and our legislation from 2015 says they are Category 1A. We do not want them in the country. So we are constantly working on these kind of issues, and these are the frontiers of where we are. This is the just a look at some of the material that have been created for the EMIs, the green scorpions, and the gardening industry to hand out. They will be available in digital format, and you can go to your nursery and download it. We are working with the Cactus Working Group and big hero specialists like Philip Ivey, who works with cactus in the Northern Cape, and our colleagues, Professor Ian Patterson at the Rhodes University. Big issues here. We do have big problems with Johannesburg people driving to Cape Town and seeing cactus magnificently on the side of the road and taking it back to Johannesburg, but we're doing the best we can, and we're doing an awful lot of education on biocontrol for cactus, which is very successful. We do try and tell people that really cactus is these invasions, just like rhodoplat dam. We have an invasion of water hyacinth. We now have an invasion of Salvinia minima, which is the small Kariba weed. So in Hardebeesport Dam and rhodoplat dam, we have Salvinia minima covering the water from April to September, and then come September we have water hyacinth covering the water from September to March. So these dams are now completely and utterly not usable for aquatic sports, which is annoying a lot of people. And you can see this is historical. This is not new. In the 1920s, we had the prickly pear invasion on account of those misguided British Army souls who distributed all these cactus to the whole country so that they could get the cochineal, the red, out of these cactuses for their red uniforms back in the 2 centuries ago. And this is the result of it. And then we obviously got the biocontrol wins. We got the right cochineal in. And today we have the torch cactus. The torch cactus is a huge problem. Center for Biological Control does not have a biological agent against it. And of course, this year we got the most incredible rains in the Karoo. So the torch cactus, this is what it looked like as you drove from Cape Town back to Johannesburg. And we had people saying, this is the most exotic, magnificent plant I've ever seen in my whole life. Chop it off and take it home. So we are facing continual problems, whereas we haven't seen these torch cactus flowers in many years. This is just to explain again the lack of support we have from the media. Community radio stations are going under as we speak. It was a great idea, but there's just simply not enough advertising to keep them going. We had a project with Rhodes University. We said we would supply free biocontrol to all small farmers in the Eastern Cape. We did a whole big thing in November, sent it to all the radio stations. Not one single radio station picked it up. So we have the free biocontrol for the farmers, but we just need to get it out. We, Cactus Working Group, have put a whole bunch of information and pamphlets, which will be up in the next month. They're just being signed off in their final sign-off. But pamphlets to say these are the cactuses that you should expect in your particular area. By June, July, we will have cactus pamphlets that will actually say these are the cactuses you should look out for at your garden centre, and these are the ones that are not acceptable. So again, a lot of this is an educational push. Our push has largely been on invasive mammals and reptiles, and I'm sure you would have been greeted by our pythons and our mallards and some of our more sort of scary animals. The bongo. This bongo behind me is a Category 1A. I believe there are a couple of them in our zoos still. So we have to sort of work out how the legislation works on Category 1A and how the zoos can get a permit for a 1A plant in some of their zoos. But again, this is the frontiers of where we're working and what the discussions are. And, of course, the bongo is not wanted in this country because of genetic pollution. But nevertheless, not many of you would have seen a bongo. And then, of course, we have the what is called everywhere in the world the Asian toad, but we're planning to do a smear campaign, and you can't do a smear campaign when you call something the Asian toad. You can't do it when you call it the Indian house crow. And we in South Africa are way ahead of the rest of the world in being a bit PC about what we call it. This particular toad is now going to be called the black spine toad in this particular country. Like we call Parthenium in this country, we call famine weed. And we do, because we're fortunately 20 years ahead of everybody else in the invasive sector, and always have been, we can make up some names that our Australian colleagues and our American colleagues look at us with absolute amazement. There he is. We have to make sure a couple of these have been found. Durban Harbour. They're coming across in all the imported materials that are coming through. So if you do see them, our big worry is that we have got to, when it comes to toads, we have got the guttural toad, which is indigenous to South Africa but invasive to Cape Town. We have the endemic leopard toad, which is your sort of national treasure and crowning glory. And we have to make quite sure that when we actually tell people that they must in actual fact remove toads, that in actual fact they're removing the right ones. And so we haven't been hard on this one. We're doing education rather than, and our colleagues were talking about this only a month ago. An Eastern Cape chameleon has made its way into Cape Town, and everyone's very worried about this chameleon, and they believe it shouldn't be here. But, you know, there are a lot of chameleons that should be here, and chameleons change color. So stand by for how we're going to do the education on that one. If anyone's got really good ideas on that, we're interested to hear what you have to say. Invasive house crows, one of our shining success stories. Mfunda Tafini and his team have really, from the days of sending Mfundo to Mozambique and to Tanzania to see how to make traps, they really have become world experts in this area. We've got the decision was made in 2005 that we did not wish to be like Zanzibar and Bombay, where they have upward of 10 million house crows basically sitting on every single perch and really stuffing up everything. So we have kept the population, thank you to the Cape Town Invasive Species Unit, we have kept the population down, and we've gone from 10,000 crows to probably about 300 rolling around at the moment. But we can't let our guard down. We need to keep that program going. And then finally, the shot-hole borer. I must say it was quite exciting to be at Stellenbosch in January and to explain to a whole bunch of Stellenbosch people that in actual fact the shot-hole borer was 6 kilometers from Stellenbosch, and the Stellenbosch village is made up of 80% exotic trees, including 400-year-old oaks. In Johannesburg, they quite casually, all the arborists quite casually tell you that oaks will be gone. English oaks will be gone in Johannesburg in the next 10 years. Telling that to a Stellenbosch audience obviously got fairly emotional responses. It is very difficult. We're working with silos within municipalities where the waste department don't know what they have to do with the shot-hole borer operation. We're dealing with protected areas. Cape Nature has just put out a huge big notice to say you may not bring your own wood into a Cape Nature reserve anymore, because we cannot have the dead wood from infected with shot-hole borer going into our natural reserves. So we do thank people like Paul Barker, who was 2 years ahead of everybody else on this, and we have marketing materials on don't move firewood that will be given extra capacity later this year, but thank you to those pioneers that saw it all along and kept the show on the road. And thank you to the scientists. These are the scientists researching the invasion. Like some of the arborists, they are monitoring the invasion. Shot-hole borer is now in the municipality of Stellenbosch. And the municipality of Stellenbosch does not have the same structures as the city of Cape Town. City of Cape Town's invasive species response is incredibly stronger and much more impressive than anywhere else in the country. We annoy everybody by going across the country and saying, well, you should see what they're doing in Cape Town. But nevertheless, that is true. And what is happening in Cape Town is far more impressive than anywhere else in the country. So thank you to Francois Ruetz at Stellenbosch University, Professor Willem de Beer from Pretoria University, Fabi, and Martin Hill from Rhodes University, which actually runs a crack shot operation at the Centre for Biological Control, and he's got a number of people working on this project as well. And they are working on the indigenous forests. They're working on the extent to which shot-hole borers got into the Knysna forests and the Garden Route National Park. And so it is serious, and we do need these people. We are going to move from hysterics, of the hysteria of 2 or 3 years ago, to a management operation. We are following the Californian model. We will be able to do a lot of communications on how many holes do you have in your tree, and you stick as many cocktail sticks as you can in your tree to work out what you've actually got on the tree and what you haven't, whether you've got a moderate invasion, a low invasion, a high invasion. And then we will be issuing South African versions of this particular management don't expect you to read it, but at the top it's the low value trees, at the bottom block is the high value trees, and pretty much sort of a step-by-step color guide to what you should be doing with your trees if you do have a shot-hole borer. We have been able to keep it pretty much to the Somerset West area. There have been a lot of people saying that they're sure they've seen it in the southern suburbs. We have no confirmed sightings of shot-hole borer in the southern suburbs at all at this point in time. So that there are a lot of these borers. They're all the same size and they all look the same, but the ones that are a pretty awful one is we don't have a problem with. But we will be upgrading the Moving with Firewood campaigns, and we will be using material that's been used in Canada and California, where this is a very big movement, and they do this movement largely for the Asian longhorn beetle, and they do it for the emerald ash borer, which are the big problems that they have in their particular area. So these kind of marketing materials will become available. They will be downloadable from invasives.org, hopefully by the middle of the year, and we will be able to use those. We have already put Z-folds together. Again, they're going up in the next month. They've been signed off by the scientists, which will basically say what you do if you have it on your property, how you're going to manage it. Now, this is very much sort of material and information for the public. We still have huge problems at municipal areas. Cape Town has got an incineration operation going, but, there's going to be a time when there's so many shot-hole borer, the incineration operation is not going to be big enough or good enough. And in other municipalities, it's just an absolute problem. In terms of the waste management law, they can't open up sites that are dedicated to shot-hole borer, dead property, dead wood. And, I constantly have, the top people in the industry, the Paul Barkers and the Altus de Wets and the people inside the industry saying, we're doing our best with waste management, but we're not one of their priorities. So often we'll need, in those situations, we need the public to help help city officials to try and get over these silos and make dedicated areas. In Johannesburg, a compost company has become the major site for arborists to take their shot-hole borer dead wood, and as a result, there is a huge hot spot in the Muldersdrift area of shot-hole borer. So, we're doing the best we can, but we're far from getting it under control. And actually, the fact that you've arrived here today means that you are the Springbok team of invasive species interested members of the public. And we really rely on you to pass on the right information. We are extremely grateful you're here in the rain in Cape Town, and welcome to our day. Thank you very much indeed.
I don't know whether I can help, but we just hacked a lot of old pine trees, and they were full of holes, tiny little holes. Could that be shot-hole borers?
No.
Okay.
Shot-hole borer doesn't attack pines, and we have no records of attacking gum either. So pines and gum are unfortunately not one of their target species, which is a great pity. A great number of our indigenous species are, and at the moment the poplars, we have a target species of 5, poplars, oaks, Acinagunda, tree guys, help me, what are the other 2? London planes?
Macadamians.
Liquid amber, there we go. Thank you very much.
Okay.
This is a network, this is a team.
Okay.
You have to do team stuff.
Thank you, sir. We had a question in the front.
Peter Viljoen. I have a family member who has a small holding at Teslarsdal, and he's got 22 oak trees growing on it. In fact, he named his plot 22 Oaks. And how can I advise him then to look for this borer beetle? What are the telltale signs?
The telltale signs are branches that are starting to die. So the tree is fine except for one branch that's come up. But I don't know why all these experts in the world here are here. But you're looking for branches. By the time a branch is infested, you've probably got between 500 and 800,000 shot-hole borers in that particular branch. So it's difficult. Old oaks that are dying look like they are dying, and certainly in the Johannesburg municipality, stressed trees that are dying are some of the first to go, because if your tree is stressed, the shot-hole borer gets in there and that's the end of your tree. But the honest truth is that you just need to tell us what area that particular person is. There are a lot of people who for an hour-long consultation can head out there, and often you have to peel back the bark. And there are experts certainly in this room here today who could actually assist him if he was that particular was there. But it's a bit like in the olden days, there was a place in Britain called Seven Oaks, and then there was a big storm, and then now they know there's only one oak left. I think you need to tell your man he may not be 22 oaks in 10 years' time.
Okay. Last question from the lady.
Thank you, Kay Penny Price. I'm with the Clavelli Alien Clearing Group. Kay, you spoke a lot about the media, the importance of using social media, etc., to kind of spread the word. And you seem to have a lot of material.
Yes.
How do we access that material? How do we interface with it? Thank you.
We have created the material, and what we're going to do is we're going to put packages up. Now, uploading social packages, you need 4 pictures, and Facebook thinks you're marvelous, 4 pictures and a bunch of copy, and then we were putting captions, but we decided captions are a waste of time. Facebook doesn't take any notice of them. And so what we will be doing is they're not uploaded at the moment, but certainly in the next month or 2, we will upload social media packages onto our invasives.org.za website. And on that site, you will see social media material, and then we'll have a list of all the packages with their species, and you'll just download 4 pictures and a document, and then you can upload those to your social media, and that's how the packages will work. And you will have access to all the packages that we've created. At the moment, there are 379 plants, and I think my colleague says we've created 170 plant packages for social media. And we need to make those available to everyone so that you can keep this material. Social media is like a huge big giant. It just keeps on, going and taking up material and copy, and it's like a pack machine. So the more material that everyone's got, the better. And nobody, always sees every post that's going up. But I think we really need to get on to permitting. And
We
is
need to.
is there just one more, and then we quickly go on to permitting?
It's Karen Hart from the Boys Drive Alien Clearing team. I just wondered, just reverting back to the shot-hole borer beetle again, there are a lot of trees in Greyton which are looking pretty miserable, a lot of oak trees looking pretty miserable with the odd limb falling off them. Every time there's a big northwester coming through, a couple of them come down.
I don't feel sorry for you at all. I tell you why. Because Greyton, the senior head of the Green Scorpions lives in Greyton. So you guys have got unbelievable access to the top people in the country for knowing what's going on, getting the right people in, knowing the network. So Greyton is fine. You just need to get that contact.
Garvin, I'm your neighbor in Greyton, so just talk to me.
Greyton will
go.
be fine.
Great. Let's move on, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Kay.
Good.